keeps us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon. My feet are cold. I hate it when I have cold feet. Doesn't help my grumpiness much. It does not help my grumpiness. Oh. We're gonna be reading step 8 out of the 12 by 12. So I'm gonna warm 1 foot up at a time here because I can't. This chair's not big enough to sit cross-legged in, and so I took off a shoe, put it under my leg. So we'll do but then I'll be lopsided. 1 foot will be warm. It'll be cold. Part of the reason, speaking of which, I've got to take my meds. Got to take my meds today. A multivitamin. I don't feel like I've really helped anybody today. So I figure I'd do something from the 12 by 12, and yeah, that kind of keep my opinion out of things. But we're gonna be talking step 8. That step that we don't talk much on 6, 7, and 8 for some reason. Now you got to reach for something. So a multivitamin, fish oil, and aspirin. Those are my meds. I'm out of my metoprolol. I'm not out. It's waiting for me at Kaiser. I don't feel like picking it up. All right. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. My name is Dion. Probably should have ate first, but I didn't. If you're here, please say hello, whether watching live or the rewatch. Live or the rewatch. Let's get started. If you'd like to follow along, we're in the 12 by 12. We might get through it. Might not. We'll see. We will see. Step 8. Made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. This is usually your grudge list that you made on the 4th step. Good afternoon, Claire Joyce. It's good to see you. Thanks. I wasn't really expecting anybody. I mean, this is the 3rd time I've gone live today. I'm like a talk show host who just won't shut the fuck up today. It's because I'm not working. I'm not doing any work. So, I may not tomorrow either. All right. But usually, so I would recommend that because a lot of people like to burn their 4th step or shred it, things like that, for personal reasons. We don't want other people to get a hold of it. Maybe it's the action of burning it as part of letting it go, things like that. So I recommend maybe taking a picture of it or something like that, or maybe write the names down on a separate list, things like that. Hey, Daryl, it is good to see you. I hope you're doing well, brother. It's good to see you. So made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing. There's that willingness word again, right? So, and what is the principle behind step 8? It is brotherhood, if I remember correctly without looking. and became willing to make amends to them all. Steps 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relations. First, we take a look backward and try and discover where we have been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage we have done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human being we know. A lot of human beings out there, aren't there? A lot of different personalities, a lot of different things, right? What we're doing is the key things here would be willing, which is pretty much in every step. I think we've probably figured that out by now. It's in every willingness is required for every step. So, but what we're trying to do is find the best possible brotherhood that we can. Now we're not going to get along with everyone. It's not going to happen, but we can at least be cordial. We can be nice. We can be thoughtful. You know, before where I wasn't. It was all about me. You know, um, maybe somebody cut us off in traffic. Um, maybe something else happened, and we need to let that go. We don't know what that person's going through. Have you ever had an emergency situation where somebody is in your car and they need medical attention now? I mean, heck, it happens all the time. Sorry to hear that, Daryl. Yeah, blood sugar can do that, man. Absolutely. I was just saying I probably should have ate first. This is a very large order. It is a task which we may perform with increasing skill but never really finish. So, what they just say, you don't ever finish the eighth and ninth step. It's a continuance. I did a lot of the major ones, but I did not spend in it, just get me started. But I got to work on getting through that. A lot of people don't want to be seen. Some can't be seen. Maybe some of them have passed. Um, you know, Now the whole point in step 9 is bringing things to justice, but that can be done several different ways, right? Is a test learning how to live, and this is where I got the title from. I had to shorten it though. Learning how to live in the greatest peace, partnership, and brotherhood with all men and women of whatever description is a moving and fascinating adventure. Now, it could be moving and fascinating now because we don't have all that bullshit blocking us from the sunlight of the spirit. We can start to see people who, for what they may be or what they might become, or even accepting people for who they are now. You know, um, every AA has found that he can make little headway in this new adventure of living until he first backtracks and makes an accurate and unsparing survey of the human wreckage he has left in his wake. To agree, he has already done this when taking a moral inventory. Yeah. But now the time has come when he ought to redouble his efforts to see how many people he has hurt and in what ways. See, a lot of people were missing from my 8th step because I may not have had strong feelings about them in that 4th step, and maybe they didn't make it to my list of 4th step. There were several situations in which I was the bad person. I was them, and that was it. I've met a lot of people in this life that have treated me nice, and I did bad, wrong things to them. Okay, in that case, there was no tango because it didn't take two to tango. I was cut off or whatever. Right. Um, so, not only that, but I found in the 4th and 5th step that some of the resentments that I had or some of the ways that I thought were fancied. It means they did not exist. Even as you go along, you might think of somebody. It happens to me all the time. In the last 3-4 months, I've reached out to a few people to do a 9th step, and nobody has wanted anything. They're not replying. So, um, The reopening of emotional wounds, some old, some perhaps forgotten, and some still painfully festering. Well, first, look at a purposeless and pointless piece of surgery. But if a willing start is made, then the great advantage of doing this will so quickly reveal themselves that the pain will be lessened as one obstacle after another melts away. Yeah. So here's that new freedom. There's another level of freedom. See, you as the steps go along, you become more and more free. Okay. And you become free of certain things. In the beginning, it was becoming free of the obsession for alcohol. Now, that needed to be removed because that was the biggest character defect that I had that was blocking me from becoming a better person. Or, as we say here, it was blocking me from the sunlight of the spirit. Okay. And I found there was only one thing blocking me from the sunlight of the spirit, and it was me. It was me. Yeah, exactly, Daryl. And that's what I was trying to say. If they don't want to speak to me, my oldest brother Scott, he flat out said, he said, I don't want to do your night step. He knew he was going. He's like, I don't want to do it. Okay, not required to. Okay, but I stand willing at any time that if he changes his mind and says, hey, Dion, can we sit down and talk? You bet I will try and take that chance. Okay. So for him, I just tried to become the best brother that I could, best example that I could. He didn't want that either. No. Mm-mm. Okay. Well, I'm the one that's going to have to work with that and move forward. And that's okay because I can change me, right? I can change me. So, so in the first freedom, right, was that obsession. Then we get into the fourth and fifth step, and our loneliness starts to vanish because we've admitted some of these horrible things that we have done. We admitted it to God and another human being. We have put pen to paper, and we have done a lot of work in order to take a look at ourselves and that. And you get a sense of freedom from that. And what is the freedom there? Well, the freedom there is the freedom of the bondage of self. There again, Dion blocking himself from the sunlight of the spirit. Now, when I do this, am I going out looking for forgiveness? Because if I am, I should probably revisit that fifth step because the fifth step is about forgiveness. Okay. And this is the way I see it. It might work different for you. If it works, it works, man. I ain't gonna argue with that. It's just my experience. Okay. But what I'm doing is I'm bringing it to justice because I have healed from it now. So I'm going to meet that person where they are at, right? Just like I would a newcomer, like would anyone else. So these obstacles, however, are very real. The first and one of the most difficult has to do with forgiveness. I didn't know it was coming up next. Okay. And they're probably gonna say it differently here. And that's okay. It's by experience. Something I'm really trying to drive home right now because you know, just because somebody's experience is different doesn't make it wrong. It does not make it wrong. So, um, the moment we ponder a twisted or broken relationship with another person, our emotions go on the defense. Yes, they do. To escape looking at what the wrongs we have done, we resentfully focus on what wrong he has done us. This is especially true if he has, in fact, behaved badly at all. Triumphantly, we seize upon his misbehavior and the perfect excuse for minimizing our or forgetting our own. Now, you should have taken care of that in the fifth step. Yeah. In the fifth step, can you forgive them one and all? Okay. But it isn't the forgiveness of others that is being done in the fifth step. It is the forgiveness of yourself. You forgiving yourself for your own derelictions. For God, forgiving you for what you have done to his children. Those are his children, right? Now, I cannot, oh, that person did this. Well, so, I mean, a lot of bad things have been done to me also. Okay. The man that raised me, I am never, ever, ever going to hear anything like, Dion, will you forgive me? I wasn't the best father and I tried to become a better. I'm never going to hear it. Okay. And it's okay. I don't need to hear it. It is no longer required for me to hear it. Okay. I don't I don't need anybody else's permission to be a better person. Right? So, and he's paid the price and it's on him. None of my children talked to him. I had nothing to do with that. I am the I am the father that has told my children, even when I was drinking, I'm like, just because I'm fighting with my mother doesn't mean that you are. Okay. And if you still want to talk to grandma, I ain't gonna get mad. Same thing with my wife. It is not her fight to fight for me with that. Because my mom and I we butt heads a lot, especially when I'm drinking. Right. And they did. They took advantage of that. Yeah, I'm proud of them for it too. Right here, we need to fetch ourselves up sharply. If it doesn't make much sense when the real tosspot calls the kettle black, right? So remember that alcoholics are not the only ones bedeviled by sick emotions. And we talk about the you spot it, you got it here. It's a great way to start figuring out, you know, well they did that. Well, gosh, I did it to them first. Maybe it was retaliation. Um, I had people turn me down also. Some of them were angry and had no interest in hearing it. Yeah. I leave the door open for them to change their minds. That being said, if they want to come at me with hostility sometime in the future, I'm not going to bow down to that. My amends are done with civility. Yep. We never apologize for believing in our higher power, and I'm certainly not going to apologize for becoming a better person. You know, that confrontation doesn't require hostility. Absolutely. We can do these things civilly. Moreover, it is usually a fact that our behavior when drinking has aggravated the defects of others. We repeatedly strain the patience of our best friends to a snapping point and have brought out the very worst in those who didn't think much of us to begin with. In many instances, we are really dealing with fellow sufferers, people whose woes we have increased. If we are about to ask for forgiveness for ourselves, why shouldn't we start out by forgiving them one and all? Okay. It's got to start somewhere. Somebody's got to put their foot forward, right? And it's got to be us. If we're going to clean our side of the street, then we're going to have to put our own foot forward. And I'm going to tell you something. It's going to get it's going to get stepped on. It's going to get stepped on. Yeah. Even sometimes with the best of intentions, people just they don't fucking want it. They don't want it. Okay. Now, if another person doesn't want to, that's not on you, man. If they don't want to grow and become better or get closer, it is not for me. Okay. Okay. So my serenity should not be based upon other people. Shouldn't be, but a lot of times it is. Because I know, like, when my wife's miserable, I'm miserable too. Just warming the other foot. When listing people of harm, we have harmed, most of us hit another solid obstacle. We got a pretty severe shock when we realized we were preparing to make a face to face admission of our wretched conduct to those we had hurt. It had been embarrassing enough when, in confidence, we had to admit these things to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. But the prospect of actually visiting or even writing a person concerned now overwhelmed us, especially when when we remembered in what poor favor we stood with most of them. There were cases, too, where we had damaged others who were still happily unaware of being hurt. Why, we cried, shouldn't bygones be bygones? Why do you think, why do we have to think of these people at all? These were some of the ways in which fear conspired with pride to hinder our making a list of all people we had harmed. Love you, dude. Peace out. Now, see, step nine, I couldn't sit like that. My knees are like, fuck you. So I'm just going to have to go with a cold right foot. Right. So the principle behind step 9 is justice. Okay. Has somebody ever done something to you, you didn't know about it, and they came to you and making amends for it? That's true justice. That is actual justice. If there's an example of it, it's right there. And that's what we're really trying to do. We're bringing our snakes to justice so that this shit don't happen no more. We've got to cut these faulty things off, or they will fester. They will. Even if we're not thinking about, well, they don't even know I did that. That makes it even more of a reason to do it, actually. Okay. If I let a bygone be a bygone, what I'm being is dishonest. You know, it was kind of like the Adams County thing I was talking about this morning. See, when you ignore, when you do certain things, these things are dishonest. That doesn't mean you lied. Because she said, well, we didn't lie. I'm like, no. And the person that said that, well, she lied to me at one point too. And I haven't forgotten that. Okay. But they are helping me make strides in some things. Some things they probably don't even agree with. So some of us, though, tripped over a very different snag. You know, here's the thing, and I appreciate what they're doing. We got to stop making fucking excuses for what we need to do. Just follow direction. Follow direction. You know, we're at step 8, and God has brought you this far with you going out unharmed. Like, you're going to be all right. A lot of times, here's the thing, don't expect anything when it comes to this. Don't expect it to be good. Don't expect it to be bad. Don't what if the situation. Don't run the conversation in your head before you get there. It is not going to go that way. But you will find that most of the time, it'll go well. Most of the time. Here again, it's going to depend on our approach. It's going to depend on how earnestly we're trying to do this. Okay. But one thing that I will not do is beg for somebody's forgiveness. I will not do it. If they want to forgive me, that's great. Cool. Then maybe we can do more stuff together. Or maybe you can just have a happier day. That's fine too. That's fine too. Oh, you know what? Dion showed up today. Yeah, you remember Dion, right? Yeah, that guy changed his shit around, man. You know, da da da. It kind of reminds me of your brother. Well, maybe we should have your brother talk to Dion. See what's happening here? I've had plenty of people approach me later on because I did a night step. Yeah. We clung to the claim that when drinking, we never hurt anybody but ourselves. Bullshit. It's the biggest misnomer in AA. Or let me rephrase that. It's the biggest misnomer in alcoholism. Denial runs as deep as defiance. In fact, denial is defiance. Right? That we weren't hurting anybody but ourselves. No. And you'll hear it all the time. And usually when somebody, hey, Sam, good to see you, man. Everybody's showing up today. People coming out of the woodwork. It's good to see you, Sam. If you'd like to follow along, I'm in the 12 by 12, page 79 for anybody joining us. But we clung to the claim that when drinking, we never hurt anybody but ourselves. I found that most alcoholics suddenly become willing to to get sober when they find out how much emotional and spiritual damage they are doing to their wife and children, to their significant other and their children. When they figure out that their drinking is hurting a lot more people that they knew. The other thing is they don't know I drink. Bullshit. They do know that you drink. It's just you are an asshole. So they didn't want to confront you on it because they saw somebody else do it and they saw you rip them a new asshole and they don't want it. I very much used to use anger all the time to get what I wanted, especially if it came to drinking. Yeah. Me and my best friend, Mr. Beam, Jim Beam, we used to like to play this game called Leave Me the Fuck Alone. Yeah. Hey, Nick, good to see you back. Good to see you again. I'm doing a lot of talking today. I didn't felt like I really helped somebody the way I was supposed to. So our families didn't suffer because we always paid the bills and seldom drank at home. Our business associates didn't suffer because we were usually on the job. Let's go over this. So your family didn't suffer, but what about that vacation that you canceled because you spent all the money drinking at the fucking bar because it's 10 times more expensive? Didn't hurt the family. Your children are living in hand-me-downs because you refuse to give up drinking. Creating burdens for others to carry and carrying burdens that weren't for ours to begin with. Yeah, great way to put it, Sam. Love it. Yeah. Creating crosses for other people to carry. Yep. And doing it on purpose. Our business associates didn't suffer because we were usually on the job. Usually, I mean, heck, I just saw a thing today. They're like, they want to make the day after the Super Bowl a holiday. Okay. And why is that? Because the alcoholics have the Monday morning flu. I had the Monday morning flu every week. I was not with it. Okay. I didn't do a very good job. I was usually creating some kind of drama at work. Okay. And that drama was I usually were dating two girls at the same job. I got busted a lot. Our reputations hadn't suffered because we were certain few knew of our drinking. And we know that's bullshit. We know that's not true. Those who did would sometimes assure us, after all, a lively bender was only a good man's fault. No, what real harm, therefore, had we done? No more, surely, than we could easily mend with a few casual apologies. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what I'm sorry means in alcoholic? I plan on doing it again. But I do feel bad about it, but I'm going to do it again. That's what sorry means. Yeah. This for been my experience. Whenever I said sorry, oh, I plan on doing it. Yeah. It's like what I'm gonna do is just wait till you kind of forget, and they don't forget. Don't forget this. This attitude, of course, was the end result of purposeful forgetting. It is an attitude which can only be changed by a deep and honest search of our motives and actions. Yeah, I got to know my motives, man. It's often, it is often that I check my motives. Yeah. Yeah. Good one, Sam. How come it didn't come down here? It's just popping up here. That's weird. It just popped up there. It didn't. Otherwise, I'd show it. I think they're having some connection problems or something. But yeah, Sam, I'm sorry for not changing. I, I, these are our apologies. I'm sorry you misunderstood me. Here's the worst one. And people say it all the time. All the time. I'm sorry you feel that way. That is one of the most demeaning lines. Yeah. And I hear it in the industry all the fucking time. All the time. I'm sorry you feel that way. What? What? When I did my exit interview for Aurora Mental Health, I kept that lady on the phone for an hour and a half, and that was her only line. I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry. It's like I'm not looking for an apology. I'm looking for change because change is the only true amends. Change behavior is the only true amends. It's the only one that counts. It's the only thing that applies time. See, there's a I'm sorry I did that as opposed to, you know what? I fucking did you wrong, so I went and changed. That's justice. That's an amends. Yeah. Hey, Amber. I was just gonna keep yakking until you made it. So, oh, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I tend to hit those nails pretty close, pretty close. So thank you, and it's good to have you, man. Though in some cases we cannot make restitution at all, and in some cases ought to be deferred. We should nevertheless make an accurate and really exhaustive survey of our past as it affected other people. In many instances, we shall find that though the harm done others has not been great, the emotional harm we have done ourselves has. When you take a problem, when you've done somebody wrong and you continually shove it down and you don't do it, it's going to build up. It'll build up into anger, depression, and you may not even remember it. Okay. And eventually, for an alcoholic, what that turns into is trauma. That'll turn into trauma. And then you'll be like me, where you have to go, then you have to go to therapy and do all this other shit. Okay. You don't need to get to that place. It's one thing that I let people know, right? Sam says, amazing the power and ignorance that comes from taking responsibility for other feelings. Took a long time in therapy to learn that I have been conditioned to believe playing a part in everything. Yep, yep. And you're a man. You're a man. Suck your feelings up. You're not allowed to have feelings. Men don't cry. Men don't share their feelings. No, and if you do, oh man, the name calling that's going to come with it. The name calling that's going to come with it. Yeah. Very good. Yeah, we got to break free. We got to break free of what this silly little world has conditioned us to be. Shame for being different. Not in my world. Not here. Not here. Hi, Ingrid. We got a couple people waiting on the doctor right now. We got a couple people waiting on the doctor. So sometimes we can't make restitution. We should nevertheless make an accurate survey. In many instances, we shall find that though the harm done others is that way we did that part, very deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. At the time of these occurrences, they may have actually given our emotions violent twists, which have since discolored our personalities and altered our lives for the worse. One of the nicest things about this program that I love is finding out who Dion is learning to love myself. It was hard. It was hard to love myself, knowing everything that I had done and then allowing other people to love me. Woo, that was tough too. Yeah, hell yeah, take care of your health. Absolutely. Woo woo. Who's talking to you, Ingrid? Good job. I used to always tell myself, it is what it is. Yeah, sometimes I still say that. It still comes out of my mouth. It was just a way for me to make an excuse for something bad and never trying to change it. Yeah. Well, did you see what they did to me? And that's justified. And all these excuses. And what needs to happen is I need to get rid of all the fucking excuses I have to not change. I just need to get rid of them. I don't even need to entertain them or talk about. I just need to get fucking rid of them, right? And that's where that 6 and 7 come in. It's where that 6 and 7 come in. While the purpose of making restitution to others is paramount, it is equally necessary that we extricate from an examination of our personal relations every bit of the formation about ourselves and our fundamental difficulties that we can. Whew! That's a run-on sentence. Okay? So, first of all, restitution isn't always money, right? Since defective relations with other human beings have nearly always been the immediate cause of our woes, including alcoholism, no field of investigation could yield more satisfying and valuable rewards than this one. Calm, thoughtful reflection upon personal relations can deepen our insight. Okay. Now, that fourth and fifth step should alleviate the blame, the shame, and the guilt. It should alleviate most of it. Okay. There's still times when I think about my kids or certain situations that I still feel bad. Yes, I do. Being an absentee father, I mean, I didn't go to one soccer game for my son. Not one. I didn't go to one play that my daughter did. I was not involved. Okay. I am today, but that doesn't make up for it. Not in my book. It does not. Am I willing to do anything I can to make restitution for that? Yes. But that restitution is going to be Dion becoming the best father that he can. The best father. Well, I didn't have a father. So how'd I do that? I have the best father in the world. My higher power. He's my father. No truer words. I'm codependent. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I have codependency. Therefore, I have no control over all outside of me, even that in which I put into me. Calm thought, we can go far beyond these things which were superficially wrong with us, to see those flaws which were basic, flaws which sometimes were responsible for the whole pattern of our lives. Thoroughness, we found, will pay, and pay handsomely. Let me get a little bit of talking juice. We got like a page and a half here, but I tend to go through it pretty quick. When I first started the Daily Trudge, it was to be 12 to 15 minutes. Now I go an hour. People appreciate it. So, all right. We might next ask ourselves what we mean when we say that we have harmed other people. What kinds of harm do people do one another anyway? Okay. Now they're going to go over it, but I'm going to give you different kinds of harm in the short version here. There's physical harm. There's emotional harm. There's mental harm. Emotional and mental are two different things. They're two different things. One's feeling, one's okay, and spiritual. Those are the four different types of harm. To define the word harm in a practical way, we might call it the result of instincts in collusion, which have caused physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual damage to people. I guess they were going to keep it simple. If our tempers are consistently bad, we arouse angers in others. If we lie or cheat, we deprive others not only of the worldly goods, but of their emotional security and peace of mind. We really issue them an invitation to become contemptuous and vengeful. If our sex conduct is selfish, we may excite jealousy, misery, and a strong desire to retaliate in kind. Okay. Now, I never raised a hand to my kids, but the anger punching holes in walls, yelling and screaming. And I got this deep, booming voice. You know, I'll yell at this person over here will giggle because it ain't them. Okay. And I don't like it. I have worked very hard. I worked very, very hard on the control of my voice. How many times did everybody hear it? It's not what you said, it's how you said it. I just want to be like, fuck you. It pisses me off more, actually. Just blame me for your fucking emotions. Come on. Mm? What's the saying? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yeah, that's bullshit if I ever heard it. It is. It's hard, man. I mean, running around saying, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. I don't care. That's not true. I very much care what people think of me. You bet. Does it control my day like it used to? No. Could what you think about me be wrong? I don't know. It's your perception, and I can allow you that, right? But sure, I care what my wife thinks. I care what my kids think, or I wouldn't feel fucking guilty. I wouldn't make amends. I wouldn't change. So I do care. Such gross misbehavior is not by any means a full catalog of the harms we do. Let us think of some of the subtler ones, which can sometimes be quite as damaging. Supposing that our family we happen to be miserly, irresponsible, callous, or cold. Suppose that we are irritable, critical, impatient, and humorless. Suppose we lavish attention upon one member of the family and neglect the others. Sorry. What happens when we try to dominate the whole family, either by rule of iron or by constant outpouring of minute directions for just how their lives should be lived from hour to hour? Yeah, I think you know, because my kids moved back in about a year ago now, right? And I think it took them a little while to figure out that dad wasn't the dad that they knew anymore, right? My kids came back into my life at about 40. Don't do that. Don't do. I beg of you, do not do what I did. Please don't. Okay. And I tell you, you ain't missing nothing out there. You're not. Right. Um, so it was different because they moved in and suddenly I wasn't yelling and screaming anymore. I I don't tell them how to live their lives. I do not. I ask how they're doing and what's going on. But that's not true. When the kitchen ain't clean, they hear about it. Okay, but it's my kitchen and I want it clean. You know. So, but that doesn't mean I need to become a rampaging dick, right? So instead, I bring it up. I'm like, I'd like if you guys kind of got to these a little bit more. But then when I see it being done, I say thank you. I don't think I think it throws them off, which is good because your kids will not listen to a fucking thing you say, but they will do everything you do. They will. A mood leads to a funk. A funk leads to pattern. Pattern leads to temperament. Temperament becomes a pattern of behavior that will dictate our mood. The cycle. It doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be vicious though. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a vicious cycle for it to be a cycle. It can be a lot subtler. Yeah. We're almost done here. What happens? What happens when we wallow in depression, self pity oozing from every pore, and inflict that upon those about us? Such a roster of harms done others, the kind that makes daily living with us, practicing alcoholics, difficult and often unbearable, could be extended almost indefinitely. When we take such personality traits as these into shop, office, and the society of our fellows, they can do damage almost as extensive as that we have caused at home. Okay. And this works both ways. Okay. Okay, now you can't help it. You're an alcoholic. There's something that you can't help, and that's being extraordinary, being more than ordinary. So here are the choices. You can either do it bad or good. You can either spread bad and evil because you're going to one way or another. You're going to, I don't know what it is about us, but we seem to have a big effect on people. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out. Don't really need to. So now I have a choice. And the choice is, am I going to cause more confusion or am I going to cause harmony? And you have the power to do fucking both. Yeah. So while you're out there, be nice to somebody. You might be the only person that's been nice to them in weeks, months. Okay. Whenever I leave somewhere, I don't care where it is, even at Walmart when they're standing around doing nothing, I tell them, thanks for being here. I don't say thank you. I say thank you for being here. Because if they weren't there, I wouldn't be able to get my groceries. If they weren't there, I wouldn't be able to pick up my soda. I wouldn't be, these different places. Okay. Because a lot of people working there, they don't want to fucking be there either. I mean, how many people are like, oh, I enjoy working, right? So thank people for being there. Um, I started this when I was 17, and it was a way for me to get out of my being so shy. And I still do this to this day. Okay. But the challenge is this: you make one person a day laugh. Doesn't sound too hard, right? It can never be the same person twice. It's the only rule. It cannot be the same person twice. Now I'm gonna have to go out of my way, right? So I'm gonna have to go out of my way, even if I'm in a bad mood. And what does it do? Is changes my fucking attitude. It changes my own attitude. There's power in it. There's power in it, right? Heck yeah. Encourage people. We're the last people to see what's going on with us. So when you have that newcomer over there at 30 days going, oh, I feel so fucking new, encourage them. Oh, we don't know. 30 days is longer than 8 years. 30 days is longer than 8 years. And it's true. You know what? Since you came here, you have grown exponentially. And you may not see it, but we see it. And give some examples. And I've been listening to you for the last, you know, a couple weeks ago, you were really pissed off about this one thing. And now you come to a place where you've accepted it and you're doing something about it. Isn't that great? When was the last time you thought about alcohol? Well, I don't know. See? Oh. All right. Having carefully surveyed this whole area of human relations and having decided exactly what personality traits in us injured and disturbed others, we can now commence to ransack memory for the people whom we have given offense. To put a finger on the nearby and most deeply damaged one shouldn't be hard to do. You know, just go back to your 4-step, your grudge list. Yeah. Literally on fire. Right? Then, as year by year we walk back through our lives as far as memory will reach, we shall be bound to construct a long list of people who have, to some extent or another, been affected. We should, of course, ponder and weigh each instance carefully. We shall want to hold ourselves to the course of admitting the things we have done wrong, meanwhile, forgiving the wrong things done us, fancied or real or fancied. Most of my problems when I got in here didn't exist. Sometimes I have to ask my wife if something actually happened. Yeah. Thank God we've been together almost 15 years now, right? So she's been through, you know, I was the guy, I mean, this is how bad of a drinker I was. I would rent a movie, go turn it in, and re-rent it immediately because I did not have the wherewithal to put it all together. And even then, I put in the movie, be like, well, I don't remember half of this. So one of my jokes is that when I got sober, I had a whole new set of movies and shit to watch, right? We should avoid extreme judgments, both of ourselves and of others involved. We must not exaggerate our defects or theirs. A quiet, objective view will be our steadfast aim, right? I loved it when people thought I was crazy because they left me the fuck alone. Yeah, that's why I did it. I did it so that you would leave me alone. I would act crazy, right? You know, we can't, you know, we should not anyway try and determine our own worth. Okay. And if I'm not allowed to determine my own worth, then me trying to determine somebody else's worth is entirely off the table. Entirely. It is not up to me to say that a person should look a certain way, that should dress a certain way, that should have to talk a certain way in order for them to be loved by God. So here's another rule: don't hurt God's children. And it puts everybody on the same playing field, from the people that I would ride or die for to the people that I don't really like. Every single one of them. Well, now they're on the same footing, right? And I can work with that, and that includes me. Okay, but determining somebody's worth, we're gonna get in. People are gonna, people things like this person is worth 1 million. This person, I'm not talking about that worth. No, that's not the worth I'm talking about. Now it gets a little confusing because I've taken money off the table. Okay, how much is a human life worth? It's priceless. There is no amount of money in this world worth one human life. Not to me. All right, one more paragraph. We'll wrap it up. Whenever our pencil falters, we can fortify and cheer ourselves by remembering what AA experience in this step has meant to others. It is the beginning of the end of isolation from our fellows and from God. Because what is the principle behind this step? It's brotherhood, sisterhood. It's just called peoplehood. That way everybody's included, right? Because I like people that feel included. You bet I do. And the reason I do that is because I know what it means to not be included. And you do too, huh? All right. Thank you everybody for being here. It was great seeing y'all again. Thanks for popping on 2-3 times with me today. I appreciate it. So now I feel satisfied that I've helped as many people as I can today. So it's kind of another challenge I have for me. All right. See, what are those, right? Well, you know how you can set yourself up to fail? Well, you can set yourself up to succeed also. So, all right. Thank you. It's been really good. I'm glad, Sam. Maybe you're the person that I just felt in my gut. I'm like, I got to do it one more time. And I didn't even really want to do it. But you know how it is. It's like going to a meeting. I don't want to go to the meeting. And then you go to the meeting. You're like, well, I'm really glad I went to the meeting. One more thing. I never woke up sober wishing I had drank the night before. All right. Thank you, everybody. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.